Our communities are connected. Businesses, people, and organizations all sharing a common goal to create the best place to live and work possible. Everyone has a story to tell about their businesses and the place they call home. We're here to tell your story. This is Your Network, powered by D&D Communications. Today we sit down with Tecumseh Brewing Company.
Go for it.
Okay. I'm Holly DeWitt, Operations Manager for Tecumseh Brewing Company, as well as Kyle's wife. So been here from the beginning.
I'm Kyle DeWitt. I'm co-founder and general manager of Tecumseh Brewing Company.
I'm Tim Schmidt. I am co-founder and brewer of libations at Tecumseh Brewing Company.
We moved back here from California 9 years ago. I started working at a brewery with Tim, and then we decided we wanted to try to open a place together. So we came to Tecumseh, and it took us about 4 years to get up and going. This is Tim's hometown, and we kind of adopted it as our hometown as well. And so it took us 4 years to get going, but we've been open 5 now, and we had it all over to do again, and we didn't change it.
We ran out of beer within the first month and a half of being open.
Yeah, that sucks.
Which is how this building that we're in right now kind of fell into our laps a little prematurely compared to our original business plan. We thought it would take us a few more years to get here, but now we've been open for 5 years. We've had this building for almost 4, and yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's yours, bro.
Yeah.
Does it taste good?
Tastes good. Brings people together. I always like that about it. Sort of universal. Something that people can enjoy together. It's fun to make. I like making it. Different kinds of beer all the time, so it never gets old. A friend of mine taught me in my kitchen, in my apartment, about 20 years ago, and took it from there. I applied at a brewery in Ann Arbor and got a job in as an assistant, and within a year I was taking classes, and I got hired as a head brewer at another Ann Arbor brewery where I met Kyle. That's the rest is history.
I've been working in bars and restaurants since I was 19, and then got into management in my early 20s. And after a long period of time working in breweries and fine dining to family restaurants, I got to the point where I wanted to open up my own place at some point. So when we moved back to Michigan from California, that was one of our objectives, was to buy a house, start a family, start a business. And then Tim and I ran into each other. It was quite fortuitous, and we talked about opening a place together. We had some similar ideas. Put pen to paper and came up with a business plan and took off from there. And used the experience that we got working for other people to try to do it for ourselves. So we feel confident we've done well so far.
Tim, do you want to start, or you're going to be here for a long time?
Favorite beer sort of changes for me a lot, but not necessarily by season or anything. I just kind of drink a lot of something and then I get sick of it, so I got to find something else. I enjoy making all beer, especially hoppy beers. I like to experiment with hops. There's tons of different hops out there, and there's more every year. So that's always fun. Right now, anything that's like fruited sours or hazy IPAs, although I haven't done a ton of them. Every beer can be enjoyed by anybody, but and so everyone's special in its own way. So I guess I don't really have a favorite, to answer your question.
Yeah, to be honest with you,
the next beer is my favorite.
yeah, the one that's currently in my possession is my favorite. I think we've all kind of had similar tastes in beer. The fruited sours, IPAs, and the juicy IPAs, New England styles. Like, it's kind of where I go to as well. So when he comes out with some he's had recently, like the peach cobbler, and the 80s Joel New England IPA, just several. He's just constantly coming up with different key lime pies, stuff like that. Those are as soon as they come on, I'm like, well, let's go get that. So it's the kind of beer I would seek out, and it's the kind of beer Tim produces that we put out there. So it's I don't really have a specific style that I like. I'm open to all kinds. But what he pumps out is about as good as anybody's.
Yeah, same across the board. So IPAs, specifically hazy, juicy IPAs, and then sours, heavily fruited sours are awesome. Gozas. So yeah, but I'm drinking Resurrection Stout right now, so that's not any of those styles. Wherever the wind blows the current day. Yeah. Beer's good.
Yeah, really good. His beer's better. It's his hometown.
For me, I grew up here, so I had that sort of a sentimental attachment. But I always thought that this town needed something a little more, something additionally for the younger 21 to 35-year-old crowd. And breweries at the time were popping up everywhere, so it was fortunate that nobody had done it here yet, and we kind of got in before anybody else. But yeah.
Actually, I remember we had been looking at different locations, and obviously at the time, like, we all lived in the Ann Arbor area, so very saturated market, also very expensive to get into. So we started looking at surrounding areas, and at one point Tim's like, what about Tecumseh? And we didn't really know anything about Tecumseh, so we started doing some research, looking into the economic development profile. Decided to take a day trip one day and just drove down here. We had our 5-month-old in tow, and just kind of checked it out and went from shop to shop, talked to a couple of the local business owners, and kind of fell in love with the charm of the town. And then again, there was nothing really here for that market, like what Tim was talking about. And there was a very large gap. So you had fine dining, and then you had just kind of coffee shops, but there wasn't really anything else. So we thought it was a great place to start. It was a great entry into it because it was like a lower cost as far as us getting started. And then that family tie-in, like Tim's entire family is here. So that was great too, but it always just kind of felt right, I think, from the get.
Yeah, there's definitely a need in this town for what we did. There was a Michigan State had a Cool Cities, it was called Cool Cities Initiative, where they did research on all these rural towns and found out what they were lacking and what the locals wanted, and everything on the Tecumseh list was like the top 3 things they wanted were all what we were going to provide, in theory at the time. So it checked all the boxes for us, and there was clearly a opportunity in this town that the people have supported it big time. So the research was correct, and we're happy we came here for sure.
Yeah.
You get to fail. You get to try different things and don't have anybody telling you yes or no. So we've tried several things, and for the most part, we've got a pretty good average. But yeah, we get to try things out and see how it goes. And we'd be in a different place if we knew what we were doing completely from the start. If we knew what we knew now 5 years ago, we might be a little bit of a different place. But for the most part, this is an opportunity for us to put our ideas down and see if they actually work or not.
So yeah, like Kyle was saying, a lot of trial and error, right? So you start with this vision of what you want it to be or you think it's going to be, and we all like to do quite a bit of research and development by going to other breweries and checking them out, and then you pick out, oh, I love how they do this, or that's super cool, or I don't like that at all, whatever it is. And then you kind of compile all that stuff together, and then you come up with what you think your ideal version of it is. It hardly ever turns out quite the way you thought it was going to. We've made a lot of pivots, a lot of changes along the way, not only based on as we've matured and gotten older as business owners, and also just in life. I think our business choices have changed, and then as well as recognizing what the community wants. We might have a special idea about what the community wants, but the community might tell us differently, and so we're always going to be true to who we are and what we want to bring, because ultimately that's why the community supports us as well as they do. But sometimes you do have to listen and say, this is the need that's right now, and so we're going to pivot and make that happen.
I'm going to touch on the community, but the support of the community has been huge, and their feedback has sort of guided us to where we are today. As far as beer goes, you know, we take the word from the customers of what they like, and you know, not only that, combined with sales, to just determine what's popular around here, and what's popular around here might not be popular 50 miles from here, but you know, it doesn't matter because we make it here and it doesn't usually go very far.
Yeah, one of the things we had in our business plan was we want this place to be an extension of your living room. And so, I mean, it's not just cliche or cheesy that we put that in there. That's literally what we want. I mean, we have our kids that we bring into the pub, and we want them to feel like this is home as well. And we want our customers to feel that way. And we've kind of developed like a community-based family in that regard. And like you're saying, like you combine the sales with feedback, and we're very present. They find us anywhere we're open, we're usually one of us is there. So they tend to provide a lot of feedback, and we take it and we kind of adopt what we're doing, sometimes to what they're doing. Sometimes we just do what we want, but for the most part, it's tailored towards what the customers have purchased and what they repeatedly ask for. So it's a community-based industry for sure. It's a community-based business that we've kind of developed, and we wouldn't have it any other way. That's from day one, that's been the number one factor we wanted to make sure we drove home.
You're never off the clock. That would probably be the hardest part. So there's a lot that goes into building a business and maintaining and growing that business, and it requires that you be constantly ahead of what's currently happening, and that can be very difficult when you're running a 7-day-a-week, long-hour business. There's not a lot of rest time, so that would be the downside. But again, you get the negatives and then you get the pros. So the pros would be we get to be our own boss and we get to make those decisions, and no one's telling us what we necessarily need to do. We have an obligation to the community and to our customers, but we don't have someone sitting in a high seat above telling us what to do or what not to do. So that's the great part about it. The downside would be you have to find that balance, and that's really hard. And I honestly don't even know if that balance exists. So you really do have to love what you do, because it's consuming, but in a good way.
Yeah, 7 days a week, pretty much every day of the year. I think we have 4 days we take off a year, so it's nonstop, which I'm sure adds really difficult for Tim to keep up with beer production, because there's ebbs and flows to the season, of course. So sometimes we just burn through beer, and sometimes it sits a little bit longer, but you know, adapting probably to the ebbs and flows of the business. And then just managing people. You know, we consider our staff our family, but you know, as with any family of 30-something people, you know, it's got its challenges, and you got to kind of work through all those. But I wouldn't say there's really too much downside to it, to be honest with you. I wouldn't really change it.
For me personally, just deciding what is most important on a day-to-day basis to put your attention towards. Sometimes you want to do the fun thing, and that's not always the most important thing. So
But the fun things make us cool.
The fun things take over. You know, there's not too many things that aren't that fun when you're working with beer.
New host.
Yeah.
I would say it's gonna almost sound cheesy because you said it a million times. This is a really cool community, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows he's from here, but we weren't from here, and so people have kind of welcomed us with open arms. Holly had a boutique for 4 years before we opened here in town, so kind of got to know a lot of the townies. And then once we really got in here and got open, we have like 1,200 brew crew members, which is our Mug Club membership, and that is crazy. I mean,
For the population size of Tecumseh,
I mean,
to say 1,200.
It's a lot. So I mean, people really support us, and we've gotten to really know them. We've had several people we met through the brewery that helped us move a couple times, so. And vice versa, so it's become like a really tight-knit group. I would say that's probably it. to go with that.
You really feel like you're doing it for a reason, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit more purpose behind it. So obviously the purpose is guiding our everyday, kind of getting into it, doing the nitty-gritty, making sure that we are waking up and doing the job, but then you have a reason behind it. So the reason is the community depends on us. We are an outlet for them in a lot of ways, especially right now with the world being as crazy as it is. We never closed. We stayed open the entire time. When we were forced to close down the dining room, we did delivery and takeout, and Kyle personally delivered most of the beer, and actually all of the beer and food, except for a handful of times. And people were really excited that he showed up with their growler and their food, you know, because it gave them a little bit of that normalcy that they were really seeking to find. So yeah, the community has been incredibly supportive, and it does feel much more like a family. And that's probably the best part about having a business here.
Yeah.
It gets lost a little bit if you were in a bigger city.
I think this industry really helps. I think people are still looking for some, you know, this time right now with everything going on, they're looking for really good quality beer, some good food. Sometime now that we're able to be open partially, the place to go hang out and kind of escape the realities of what's going on outside of here. So us being able to be present and give people an opportunity to get away from everything for a little bit, I think they've really taken to that, because we haven't really experienced much of a slowdown, even with all the changes we've had to do. We haven't really taken a hit, and so I think part of it is because we stayed open full time. We just kept going and we didn't stop, kept punching through the bag, and it's proven to be pretty prudent that we did that. But we wouldn't have it any other way.
And with that, obviously, being closed, right, you got a lot less of that face-to-face interaction. So, I mean, social media was huge. That's how we interacted with all of our customers, and was able to even do a lot of promotions and reach outside of our regular customers and the people who had already liked and continued to follow our page, as well as email. So we have an email list of Brew Crew members, and then people who have just decided to sign up either through our website or in store. And we send out weekly blasts, kind of letting them know what's going on as far as food specials, beers that are being released, what's going on in the event. So all of those things keep us kind of connected to the people, which has helped a lot, especially during a time when we've lost a lot of that face-to-face.
Yeah, I think another thing that was really helpful too is that we linked up with our business partners in the area. So a lot of businesses, from the coffee shop, you know, to some of the grocery stores here in town, the cheese shop. We did a trade with them and then raffled off when it was shutdown time. We raffled off like a package of gift cards to whoever's open, and we kept highlighting who was open, when they're open, and they were doing the same with us. So I mean, everyone kind of really tightened up the hatches, linked arms, and was not going to be deterred by everything going on around.
Well, in every way. I mean, we wouldn't be able to process transactions without technology.
2 electric brew houses helps out a little bit.
Yeah.
Push button. I mean, not push button. For like, you know, you still brew it.
There are buttons.
But there are buttons and you push them and it does stuff.
Yeah.
Technology.
You know, I guess less levers to move. It's you know, it's pretty standard nowadays.
Less widgets.
To have an electric, you know, panel operate your brew house, but I guess maybe I take it for granted.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably now with the truck, the food truck, and then the second location, everything's kind of synced up. We're trying to find a way to sync everything up. So technology's helped us with that, and we can do a lot of stuff remotely now.
Yeah.
That we can do from anywhere.
Actually, we are distant learning our children right now, and so the ability to be able to do most of our job from home while we also are helping children learn is pretty amazing and vital during this time, so that's great. Another one would just be, you know, we offer Wi-Fi to all of our customers, so when they're here, we've always wanted our environment to be more of a slow pace. You come and stay as long as you want, almost like a coffee shop meets a brewery. So we don't have servers. We want people to enjoy their time here, not feel rushed. And in part of that, you know, if they want to bring a book and read, they can. If they want to bring their laptop and get work done, they can do that as well. So just being able to offer that to our customers where they can really feel like they can stay as long as they want is great. Also, when we were closed to dine in, having just the phone capabilities for people to be able to call in orders, we had to upgrade our phone services because we couldn't keep up. There were so many people calling, and you can only put so many people on hold and, you know, call waiting and all that. So technology has been huge for us. Yeah. Almost you forget how important it is because it's so common now. You just expect
It's like second nature.
it all to work, and we rely on it so heavily that you take it for granted.
Yeah.
Because if they couldn't get through on the phone, they go straight to Facebook.
Yeah, and then they leave a message.
And they start ordering. Then they order through Facebook. Yeah.
And you're like, no, this isn't the place for
Then you
that.
get an email.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa, that's a tough one. You know, it's really kind of hard for us to focus on the future too much. We kind of always do, but trying to get through the pandemic and utilize all our resources has led us to expanding into the tap room, at the production site, the food truck, but still keep everything fresh and original at the pub, downtown pub, and then, but also still keeping up with having unique food menu items and unique beers, and not changing too much of what we've done in the past. You know, just kind of continuing to focus on, keep your head down and focus on what we do and what we've produced over the years. And focusing on that's been kind of a nice distraction from everything. So we've been able to continue doing that. As far as what the future brings, let's get in the spring and just blast through this thing right now, and then we'll kind of go from there. But we like what we're doing here. I think expanding the production site more is probably on our docket here to kind of continue to grow this space and keep upgrading the downtown pub. And that's kind of like the here and now is what we're trying to get done. And eventually, hopefully in the near future, that'll be established. And then we'll start talking about some bigger plans if we have them.
So funny enough, is a lot of our future plans that we had. So if you would have asked us this question pre-pandemic, we would have said things like, put in a tap room at the production site, get a canner, get coolers at the pub and at the production site so we can sell cans to go. Those were all things that were on our list of future plans. And somehow, oddly enough, the pandemic has made that happen sooner than what we were expecting, not necessarily in the way that we were expecting. So again, going back to the beginning when we said, like, you know, we have this big idea of what we think things are gonna look like and how they're going to unfold, and then it never really happens quite like that. So we had big plans for this building, and we still do, and they're all going to happen just in a different rate of pace than what was originally planned. But a lot of our future plans have already started to come to fruition because we've had to pivot and adapt and make changes to keep our business going during kind of a time of uncertainty when we didn't really know what it was going to look like for us, especially in the winter in Michigan with limited indoor seating. Yeah.
I feel like necessity is the best motivator.
Yes.
So we were like, hey, we have all this space over here. We have all these plans we've been working on for a couple of years. We actually got a food truck back in November. And then in February, it was licensed and ready to go, and then COVID hit, so everything was kind of on hold, but we were still working on the future at that point. And then once everything started coming back together, and the community really linked arms, and the city's been really helpful with us opening up this space and allowing us to do certain things, and we just went for it. Like, hey, if we have these plans now, we can talk about them until we're blue in the face, but if we have an opportunity to do it now, at this time, there's no better time to do it.
Kind of shift, make it happen.
So the future plans have just been pushed back to now.
Yeah. And so one fun thing is right now we have crowlers. You can buy a crowler from us. We've always had growlers and howlers. And for those of you who don't know, crowlers are essentially a howler, 32-ounce beer in a can. And we can them off. So that's kind of a new thing that we have. And you can buy those at the production site or at the pub. But we also now have an adapter, and we are going to be ordering smaller cans. So our plan is to make 6-packs, 4-packs. Hopefully, Tim wants to make some fun beer that we only can off, and then it's like a limited release. You can only get it that way. Line out the door kind of a situation. That'd be awesome.
Social distancing line.
Social distancing line out the door. But yeah, that, who knows, maybe a second food truck down the road. Again, like with what Kyle's saying, is that our focus is so here and now that it's really difficult to look at the future. I think we had a lot of time to make big future plans prior, and then because so many of them have happened so quickly, that we really haven't had a chance to sit down and say, so what are we gonna do when this is all over?
Just be open and have fun.
Have fun, do the fun things.
Yeah, just to sort of see this all at a natural point at some point, kind of catch back up to where this would be if we weren't going through a pandemic.
Yeah.
Thanks for being awesome. Thanks for drinking the beer, for showing up for us, for continuing to order food, for continuing to show your support, your love, and I mean, our customers are why we're here. The community is why we're here. So every day, people showed up, which is awesome.
Thankful that we get to do what we love to do.
Yeah. So many people's worlds are upside down right now, and we get to still be our own boss and make decisions for the business and for our families, and just keep plugging away. And we're happy that I've created what we've created so far, and the community's been so staunch in their support. It's actually been really humbling. It's very surprising that during all this, everyone just kind of linked up. It's kind of what we wanted to create, and it's cool to see it come into fruition, that people have treated us as like a community center. We have families with their kids still coming in, and that's what we wanted. This is a community pub, and it's always been that way. It's always been the plan, and to see it continue to grow even during a pandemic it's humbling. It's very cool.